Tone Deaf is the journey of a musical theater nerd, bringing musicals into the life of their musically challenged spouse. The reactions to the musicals are real and mostly unedited. This show is rated explicit for mature content and strong language. Now sit back, relax, and have a laugh. You're listening to Tone Deaf.
Bonjour, salud, bienvenuto, and welcome to this quiet corner of the Salt Lake Valley. It is here we find the habitat of the musical theater nerd and their musically challenged spouse. Let us now observe as they prepare for another musical field day. Good morning, Warren! Get out of bed, let's make some coffee and make food for latte. This is the day when we get to see a really good licensed play. What can I say? This musical has been stuck in my head for a week. Let's start the day. It's the best day to be a marine theater geek. And who's the lucky guy in my life who is living the dream, who gets to see a show with a cartoonish theme? Warren, it's you. Aren't you glad to be here in the state-renowned SLC Utah Mountain Valley town? SLC Utah, where the smog hangs down on this cold and smoggy Salt Lake City day.
Okay, I'll bite. This is from the Spongebob musical, huh?
Yeah, it's a parody of the opening number.
And you're doing it in a cappella?
Of course not. This orchestra here is backing me.
Are you hearing this orchestra right now?
Just try it, babe. Sing a verse.
So all I do is copy what you did and then I try to sing it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Now I hear the music and I've got to wing it. So do I just sing whatever first comes into my mind? Or maybe sing about how I am in a bind? Oh God, this stuff won't stop. Kay, please make it stop, because this music's loud.
SLC Utah.
Now what rhymes with loud?
SLC Utah.
Nothing rhymes with loud. It's a terrifying Salt Lake City day.
Mom, Dad, now the music is in my head and I don't like it. I just want some cookies and a cat to smell, but this is what I get. Rather go to the vet, but instead I get to hear you long yell. This song won't go away. Typical Salt Lake City day.
Crap! What time is it?
Noon?
Shit. We need to get going. We're running late. Let us now follow the musical theater nerd and their musically challenged spouse as they brave the cold, smoggy weather to head north to the home of the musical theater nerd's mother. Welcome to Tone Deaf, a theater nerd's guide for their musically challenged spouse. I'm Kay, a musical theater nerd.
And I'm Warren. I'm musically challenged.
And today, we have a special guest with us. We have Mama Kay!
Yay!
Woo! Yay! So, we have Mama Kay and possibly a guest appearance from Sophie. We'll see if she decides to say anything.
She has been surprisingly quiet.
Yes.
So we'll see how that goes.
We shall see.
And then, of course, we have our sleepy third co-host, Latte, who's seemed to be winding down for a nap.
Yep, she can sleep through anything. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
So, I've got a question for you guys. What happens when you get David Bowie, Johnathan Coulton, who did Still Alive from Portal, The Flaming Lips, T.I., Steven Tyler, and Joe Perry, Panic at the Disco, Brian Eno, Plain White Tees, Lady Antebellum, They Might Be Giants, Cyndi Lauper, Yolanda Adams, Alex Ebert, Sarah Bareilles, and John Legend all to work on a musical together.
Way too many people.
You actually get the critically acclaimed SpongeBob musical.
But I also musically challenged, so shows what I know.
So, this show was written by Kyle Jarreau, who also wrote the book for the musical that I need to get my hands on because I've only ever listened to the soundtrack, A Very Merry Unauthorized Children's Scientology Pageant.
And it's a lovely
It's
soundtrack.
so lovely. Listeners, you know what to do.
Our secret agent in the audience needs to go forth and locate this musical and send it to us.
Yes. But, of course, that's not the musical for today.
Nope.
So, this week, we are covering the SpongeBob SquarePants musical, which, as you know...
I am still in disbelief exists.
Well, as you may know, this show is based off of the kids' show, SpongeBob SquarePants. This show has run on Nickelodeon since 1999.
Oh my god. I cannot believe it's been that long. Like, just 20 years, almost? Yeah, no, 20 years.
Yeah. Almost, it'll be 21 years next year.
Oh my god.
Yep.
So that does make it 20 years.
Yeah,
this year.
it's 20 years this year, but...
It's almost as old as my sister.
Yeah. Holy smokes. SpongeBob will be able to get a drink next year. Actually, SpongeBob could drink right now because he's our age, but...
Well, he's very absorbent. He can really hold his liquor, too.
So, SpongeBob was created by marine science educator Stephen Hillenburg, may he rest in peace, and it's one of Nickelodeon's most popular shows. So, a little bit of a side tangent. SpongeBob was originally conceived in the late 80s as a character on Steve Hillenburg's... I haven't even gotten into the beer yet. In Steve Hillenburg's book, The Intertidal Zone, he was Bob the Sponge for that. Then, when he was picked up for Nickelodeon, he became Sponge Boy, and then SpongeBob. Nickelodeon had wanted him to be a child instead of an adult, so they wanted more of a Hey Arnold under the sea, and Stephen Hillenburg said, fuck no. And he was going to take his ball and go home, basically. And they're like, okay, no, we'll let you... Yes?
He's Minorcan?
That joke went over my head. Minorkid? Oh!
You'll have to edit out part of your laughter.
She'll tone it down. She'll bring it down.
God.
Do your notes cover that? Did he have one ball?
Jesus.
In a tragic marine biologist accident? You could say that he was balls deep in his work.
Oh, God, why?
Or sorry, ball deep. Sorry, Kay. Please continue.
Stinging nettle, probably.
Ooh, okay. Where was I on this?
Take his ball and go home.
Yes, take his ball and go home. So that's where Mrs. Puff came in, because listeners, you couldn't see what I did, but I did a silencing gesture to keep another tangent. So they brought in Mrs. Puff because Stephen Hillenburg said, fine, SpongeBob doesn't have his driver's license, he goes to driver's ed. There we go. So that gave them their whole, we want something to be relatable for kids. He's going to go to school.
And to the talking executive head's credit, which I will not say that phrase very often, some of the school situations and episodes are some of the funniest damn situations.
Yes,
because,
they are.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, this show has run for 12 seasons, being renewed for a 13th in July of 2019. This show has spawned 3 movies, an actual species of fungus, Spongiformia squarepantsii, this musical, and 2 in-development spin-offs.
That's like when people discover stars or, like, constellations and they name them after science fiction characters.
I'm not going to throw shade because Gary Larson has a specific type of louse that's on an owl that's named after him, so I'm not gonna throw shade there. But the 2 spin-offs are Camp Coral and Squidward, and are something that the late Steve Hillenburg probably wouldn't have wanted, since he didn't want spin-offs. But, you know.
Why do a spin-off of Squidward? Like, he's only funny because he's getting annoyed by other characters. Like, he's not entertaining in and of himself.
I don't know why. I mean, what the hell? So, to let our audience know, we have SpongeBob on getting ready for this musical. Like, we were watching this live, and something horrible has happened to this show in the past decade. So,
yep.
So I'm going to try really hard to make this episode about the musical and not the TV show, because this is a musical theater podcast and not a podcast about animation.
I will try to not pull a Death Note and talk about the differences between the two.
Well, we can do that later. So the Flaming Lips were the first group revealed to be writing for this show as early as January 16th, 2014. This was according to their lead singer's Twitter, and they had already written a song for the SpongeBob movie for the end credits. It was called SpongeBob and Patrick Confront the Psychic Wall of Energy.
Wanted to cool those flaming lips under the sea, I guess? I don't know.
So their contribution to the musical is the first act finale, which is called Tomorrow Is. This musical was first announced at Nickelodeon's...
Is what?
You'll see. So
tomorrow is what, Kay?
I'll tell you later. You'll see in the musical.
Okay.
The musical was first announced at Nickelodeon's Up Front on February 25th, 2015, with a performance of the opening number, Bikini Bottom Day. However, this was not a definite this show is opening announcement, but we also know that SpongeBob is Nickelodeon's cash cow, so they of course want to milk that sponge for all he's worth.
Gotta squeeze him dry.
Gotta squeeze him dry. In August...
tall glass of sponge juice.
Ew.
Between your mom's laugh and the look on your face, I'm very proud of that
Is that
joke.
because it was next door neighbor? Does it kind of taste like Clamato?
Oh! Gross.
Sorry. Derailment over.
Ooh.
For now.
So, we all know that SpongeBob I already just said that. So, in August, the Chicago performances were announced as the production crew was... as was the production crew. They also announced the opening on Broadway at this time. The cast list was released April 2016, and rehearsals for Chicago began April 11th, 2016. The Broadway representatives that arrived to watch rehearsals reportedly were impressed by the show. Spoilers for costumes, plot, etc. were kept well under wraps because this is Nickelodeon and not Cartoon Network. Hashtag Steven Universe spoiler shade.
You know, I think part of the reason being is that Nickelodeon is like the mob, and as soon as one person leaks anything, they just kill them and their whole family, and that sends a message to everybody else. They're like, oh, don't fuck with Nickelodeon.
Oh, this is a new creepypasta now. So according to Variety, the show's budget was between $15 and $20 million. It ended up coming in under the $20 million mark.
20 billion.
Oh, God. No, that would be Spider-Man.
I was gonna joke, that's going to be the next Spider-Man musical. It's going to bankrupt entire nation.
The USA went bankrupt today because of the second Spider-Man musical.
Instead of because they bought Iceland?
Yeah.
Oh, God. So, oh, God. My faith in humanity is gone. So, I swear to God, Playbill reads my mind, because from here I would normally have gone into the opening dates, the awards, blah, 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 because most of the things that I would have been able to pull up from the SpongeBob Wiki and other sources...
Other sources. Yeah.
I have not gotten into the beer yet.
Well, okay, tell us more
Lord.
about those sources.
Oh boy. I'm gonna regret reading off some of the character names in a minute. So, these sources would have been spoilerific, and I don't want you to know the plot yet. But, Playbill last night helpfully posted an article about the writer for the book of the musical, about Kyle Jarreau. Basically, the article begins with kind of what you were thinking when I read off the musicians attached to it. How do? Because, really, that is a large variety of music styles and lyric writing styles that wouldn't seem to make a cohesive show.
Yeah, it seemed like there'd be way too much arguing about creative difference.
Yeah, it would have been taking Weber's I Can't Pick a Theme
To the next level.
Yeah, to the next level.
Would have gone Super Saiyan.
However, Jarreau is quoted as in the article as saying that it was a fairly traditional working process.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, in fact, he said that the only issue was coming up with a 2-hour plot for an 11-minute show. And the article goes on to quote him, or to first say that to tackle it, he determined the 3 pillars of the Spongebob universe: optimism, surreality, and humor, and submitted 5 potential plots to director Tina Landau, including one last-ditch idea he thought that they would never go for.
And let me guess,
Guess
that's the
which
one they went for.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And I'm not going to tell you the plot because, again, it's the one that they went with, but the plot has very high stakes.
Does it involve a volcano?
You have seen that little bit because you got Best Day Ever stuck in your head, but you don't know the context, so that's awesome. So the main characters of the show end up showing the different ways one would approach what the main conflict of the story is. After all, even though the show may be called SpongeBob SquarePants, he actually shares main character billing with Patrick, Sandy, Mr. Krabs, Pearl, Squidward, Plankton, Karen, Mrs. Puff, and, of course, Gary. So there are actually 10 main characters to SpongeBob.
Karen is Plankton's wife, right?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember. It's been a hot moment.
Yeah,
since
Karen is Plankton's computer wife, because Plankton's that kind of guy. So the artists were told which songs they would have to write in order to make the emotion sound correct. The Plain White T's wrote SpongeBob and Patrick's BFF song. David Bowie wrote a modified version of his 1995 song No Control. This takes place when the inciting incident for the plot is revealed and is the only song that was written before the musical or SpongeBob existed. It was on his album Outside. One of my favorite contributions is, of course, from They Might Be Giants. And Jarreau talks about it on the Playbill interview, saying, "One of the first songs that we got in was They Might Be Giants' song I'm Not a Loser, which is now Squidward's 11 o'clock number." The 11 o'clock number is the second to last song of the show, or rather the showstopper, that comes back when they used to have specific start times. Like, I want to say the start time for Broadway plays used to be 8, so at 11 o'clock, the last number would be, or the second to last number would be the showstopper, before everything wraps up at the end. So that's an 11 o'clock number.
Okay, and it's funny because my brain was thinking initially like a clock, like, okay, well, like, it made sense. 11 before 12 would be the finale, like finishing up everything. So
yeah,
it's funny how I kind of came to the right conclusion, but with the wrong information.
So he says, they came back with this amazing song about how he's not a loser and really exposing his insecurity. But the word loser is probably said 30 times in the song. And they had this idea of this kick line of sea anemones that he imagines. Once we got that in, a couple of things were clear. One, the idea of Squidward being called a loser and being dismissed on a personal level needed to be woven into the piece to set up the song. The idea that the word loser is a trigger word for this guy became part of the show's early scenes.
How does he feel about being called a douchebag? Because I wouldn't necessarily call him a loser, because he can play the clarinet. That requires skill. But he's a douchebag.
Yeah, he's an octopus forced to interact with other creatures on a regular basis.
I just want to kick him in the ink sack.
I learned some things. This deep dive that I took was
Shove
horrible.
his clarinet up his blowhole.
So, Let's see. And knowing that there was going to be this big kick line informed the position of the song in this show. In the same vein, the songs BFF and No Control were also switched, with BFF having a lot more meaning after No Control reveals the stakes of the plot. Additionally, the placement of Best Day Ever really changes that song's meaning, and you'll see it when we get to it. Johnathan Coulton, who wrote Bikini Bottom Day, was also the main revisionist for the lyrics, approving them with the original artists as he went. SpongeBob opened for previews on Broadway on November 6, 2017, with the official opening being December 4th, 2017. It closed September 16th, 2018, not recouping the $18 million cost, but it had a high critical and audience reception. I want to say that the year that it was on Broadway, it was at the same time as Frozen. So, yeah. The Chicago production was highly praised, with WGN's Dean Richards saying, "The story is multi-layered for kids and adults. It adds up to one of the most fun, well-produced, and best-acted shows Chicago has seen in a long time." Chicago Tribune's Chris Jones said, "Hopeless optimism is a good strategy as any in our angry, hate-filled world. So by the time the SpongeBob musical turns the Krusty Krab into a Hell's Kitchen canteen, SpongeBob SquarePants designed the designated flipper of the Krabby Patty, good God, might just be the yellow tonic that Broadway and its fans across America sorely need." And then he said of the music that it was the biggest gamble, a score made up of singles by different songwriters and unified by orchestrator Tom Kitt, works quite beautifully in the anarchic playpen that Landau has created with her designers David Zinn and Kevin Adams. Johnathan Coulton has penned Bikini Bottom Day, the Good Morning Baltimore setup song, a melodic charmer. The Plain White T's nail the buddy song BFF, and Sarah Bareilles, really adept now at this form, contributes a droll ditty for Patchy the Pirate, which is their Act 2 opener. And there was also a lot of praise for the Broadway version, with Ben Brantley saying of Ethan Slater, who plays SpongeBob, "For what it's worth, and we're talking millions of dollars here, you're never going to see as convincing an impersonation of a two-dimensional cartoon by a three-dimensional human as that provided by Ethan Slater at the Palace Theater. Slater plays the title role in the SpongeBob SquarePants the Broadway musical, the ginormous giggle of a show that opened on Monday night. This might sound like dubious praise, but think about it. How many of those legions of figures who gamble through the stage adaptations of animated movies, teapots, lions, fake Russian princesses ad infinitum, seem to have been transliterated from the screen without any dilution of their inked-in essence?" And he goes on to talk about the set pieces, which are just wild as heck. And also talks about how the costumes look like they could have been assembled from Salvation Army bins.
Yeah.
As you noticed, when we were watching one of the commercials, they do not look like SpongeBob on ice.
Yeah, that's kind of what initially shocked me, because I saw that SpongeBob just looked like a guy in a yellow shirt with overalls and stuff, and didn't look like a sponge, and I was like, oh, okay, that's the direction they're going.
The craziest thing that they have is Squidward, but I really like the puppeteering that they do for him with his legs, because they do give him 4 bottom legs.
I don't think I noticed that.
You will see that. So, Brantley also suggests, with who would like this musical, you would probably adore this musical if A, SpongeBob was formative influence of your childhood, B, you're a stoner who tokes up to watch reruns of the show on YouTube, categories A and B are not mutually exclusive, or C, if you were like my date for this show, a parent of a SpongeBob binging progeny and found its sensibility crept into and wallpapered your weary mind. If you are none of the above, you'll find your patience sorely tested. But if you are obliged to accompany one of the sponge-happy types listed above, might I suggest you do what I did. That would be to immerse yourself in random, preferably early episodes of the series, and then marvel at how the creative team here replicates their seemingly inimitable tone and substance. Or you could indulge in some illegal inhalation, though I didn't say that. This is a very bright and colorful show, so you probably could watch it high if you're in one of the states that allows that.
There you go. And you're like going on the list. I'm like, where do I fit into this? I was older brother watching a younger sister who watched the show, so I watched the show.
I had a parrot who really liked SpongeBob, and you had a daughter who had a parrot who really liked SpongeBob. So, on to the awards. Let's just say there's a lot of awards.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah,
That
so
is a lot of awards.
It did win Best Outstanding new Broadway musical with the Outer Critics.
What I want to know is, did it win the same award that Flower Drum Song did?
Best composer?
For the Tonys, no. It actually won Scenic Design.
Okay.
In the Tonys. It was nominated for the most Tonys for that year alongside Mean Girls. Both of them got 12 Tony nominations, but they lost to The Band's Visit, which is based on the Israeli film of the same name. Lost Best Musical for that. But it was nominated alongside Mean Girls and Frozen. And this was the same year that Once on This Island won Best Revival, beating out Carousel and My Fair Lady.
As it should.
As it should. SpongeBob's North American tour began September 22nd, 2019, and it'll run through 2020. The cast we'll be watching mostly consists of the original cast. Ethan Slater is SpongeBob, Danny Skinner is Patrick, Gavin Lee is Squidward, Abby Smith is Mrs. Puff, Kevin Lowe is Perch Perkins, Alan K. Washington as Larry the Lobster, Curtis Holbrook as Fred the Fish, and Anika Phillips, John Rua, Laurelyn McClellan, Robert Taylor Jr. as the Sardine Corps, who you will see later.
The Sardine Corps.
Yes.
Sounds like a military group.
Oh boy. So joining the cast are Christine Sejoux as Sandy. She replaced Lily Cooper on Broadway on July 24th, 2018. Wesley Taylor as Plankton, Katie Lee Hill as Karen, Brian Ray Norris as Mr. Krabs, Jaylynn Christine Lee Josie as Pearl. Alan K. Washington also plays Gary this time as well, instead of the pre-recording of Tom Kenny's performance. Tom Kenny comes in as Patchy the Pirate, Breonna Parham as the narrator, J.C. Schuster as Old Man Jenkins, Curtis Holbrook, Logan Jones, and Kyle Matthew Hamilton as the Electric Skates. Yes, spelled like Skate the Fish, because puns. And Tom Kenny takes his role as the French narrator at the opening.
Bonjour.
So, that being said, do we have any questions before we get into this nautical nonsense?
That's not something I wish. I have no questions. They would be amiss, because this is a pile of chum that will be sorted through later after we have seen the show.
Mm-hmm. Well, pour one out for SpongeBob as we all pull out a beer. Any questions from you, Mama Kay? Or...
No, but I'm sure I'll have comments after.
Oh, yes.
I'm in that same bucket.
I am certain.
A chum bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Speaking of, what the hell have they done to SpongeBob?
I've been
Good
so distracted while you've been talking about this, because this show is not what I remember.
No, it is not. Luckily,
it has changed so much.
It unfortunately has. Luckily, the musical will be more like what we remember.
Yay.
With that, let us begin our deep dive into the world of SpongeBob SquarePants.
We will be back after these quick messages.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Hi folks, we wanted to take a quick moment to thank our Patreon sponsors.
Thank you to our stage crew sponsor, Jasmine Wu, and our producer circle sponsors, Bianucci and Reagan.
Thank you so much for your continued support of our show.
We truly appreciate it.
Now let's hear from our friend Kate over at Ignorance Was Bliss.
Everybody has a story, and not all of those stories are clear black and white issues, even when we think they are. We wonder, how did this happen? Or what is that like? Or what happens next? Are you sure you really want to know? This is Ignorance Was Bliss at IWB Podcast.
And now, the lights are going down and the music is starting back up, so let's hop into the second act of the show. Okay, Warren, so what did you think? Is it the best show ever? Best show ever?
I am annoyed with myself over how much I actually liked it.
Right?
Because this is, we joke about the Capitalism Gone Wild episodes for our patrons that some of those shows have no right being as good as they are.
Yeah.
This is one of those shows that has no right being as good as it is. Like,
I agree.
I wish it didn't bother me, but it bothers me. And I don't know, I guess it's because, like, there's a part of my brain that's like, SpongeBob being made into a musical? That doesn't mesh well in my brain. I want it to fail.
Now you know how I have felt since I first listened to the soundtrack.
And oh my god, that soundtrack is full of so many earworms, especially that beginning one. It's gonna be the best day.
Oh, Bikini Bottom
yeah,
Day?
that one. Sorry.
You're fine. Musically challenged.
Musically challenged.
So what did you think, Mama Kay?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Like, just surprisingly good.
I like the diversity of the cast.
Yes, that's definitely...
And I like the fact that it didn't matter what your body image was, it didn't matter your height, it didn't matter your weight, it didn't matter skin color. That was such a diverse cast.
It really was.
So good.
One of the things I thought was interesting, too, is when they did some of the larger ensemble numbers where they had, like, backup dancers and stuff that were wearing the same costume. Even if the costumes were feminine, they had men wearing the feminine ones, and if stuff was mad, like, it was just...
Well, the guy who opened the show.
Yeah, the guy who opened the show was in a tutu. Yeah,
Yes.
prancing around, just big muscular frame, and he's pointing with this arrow sign while in a tutu.
Good.
It was very... Surreal is definitely the best way to put it, especially the costumes, because some of the characters looked a little acid trippy.
Yeah,
like Patrick. I thought Patrick he looked like a fat pink Elvis in a lot of ways. Like he did, but yeah, the costumes. I think the costumes were smart, but it was one of the things that held the show back a little bit for me because, like, I would have loved to see a big bushy tail on Sandy,
but then you couldn't have seen her butt.
I mean, you could, like, put the tail as a squirrel tail, so it goes up like her back and then curls down, and she could have had that big bushy tail.
True. You know, she couldn't have done some of the choreography.
Yeah, that's true.
That's probably the reality of it. Is like, we can't have people in the bigger costumes because then they wouldn't have been able to do the dance numbers.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of dance numbers, like Spongebob doing the splits and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
She is amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but notice Spongebob and be like, wow, he is fit. Like, look at that veiny fucker.
Yeah.
Look at those biceps on SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
SpongeBob is swole.
Yeah, he's in good shape. They all
Muscle Bob buff pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Muscle Bob's swole legs.
Yeah, I mean, just some of the choreography that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, should we dive into my terrible recap? The narrator welcomes everyone to the bottom of the sea with exciting sights like kelp and seaweed and a pineapple under the sea. This pineapple is home to the world's most unique sea creature, a singing, dancing sea sponge named Bob. The sea sponge is super absorbent and The sea sponge is super absorbent of positivity and good vibes. Bob introduces his neighbor, Patrick Starr, who lives under a rock and also keeps them in his brain. Between Seedledee and Seedledum lives an octopus named Squidward, who is a black hole of negativity. Spobert is off to see his friend Sandy. Spongebob, which is short for Robert.
Yeah.
Spongebobbert, so Spobert. There you go. Spobert is off to see his friend Sandy, a Texas-sized squirrel who lives in the ocean and is making a jetpack, 'cause underwater. Anyways, in the middle of her introduction song, the ground rumbles and shakes with foreboding plot development. Sandy decides it's time to fire up the old seismograph to do some squirrel science.
I hate myself right now because I'm sitting here going, well, there's a very good reason for Sandy to be doing a jetpack, because in episode blah 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 of season blah blah blah, we find out that she's been
No, but see, it doesn't...
dive.
It doesn't matter what episode in the cartoon that she had a jetpack, because they're still underwater.
But I mean,
Jet propulsion does not... If she had like a torpedo pack, I would be down for that, because it would be propellers propelling her, and it would work just like a jetpack.
so what it is though is that she's tasked with inventing things down and testing them underwater is her whole job, and so it would be like, well, I could see why she would be trying to make a modified version of this for... Because
Okay.
the chimps sent her underwater to do this, and they're giving her a grant. Okay, God. I hate that I did this deep dive, Warren.
Like, the jetpack bugged me for a while, because it's one of those... It's the surreal thing of Spongebob. It's like you can't focus on anything because it's supposed to not make sense and supposed to be wacky. But my brain was like, jetpack, no, because you're talking about combustion thrust propulsion underwater. It's not gonna work. Especially the pressures of the depths of being down there, like it would just fizzle out as soon as it was lit.
Yep.
Okay. Just let it go, Warren. It's a musical. Spobert leaves Sandy and to her small people stuff. No, sorry. Spobert leaves Sandy to her smart people stuff and continues on to his minimum wage restaurant job. Here we are treated to the tiny green single-celled antagonist under the sea, Plankton, who is hatching a devious plan to sell his chum burgers using hypnosis, because good taste is apparently out of reach. I mean, if you have the resources to build a wackadoodle machine that can brainwash people, you can't hire a chef who can be like, here's how taste works.
It's kind of hard to sell the chopped up remains of your deceased relatives to its chum. Just saying.
So is he just corpse robbing? Is he just grave robbing and selling bodies back to the people?
I think he is. I do.
Kay's face got really dark, you guys. Just imagine someone dealing with an unsettling realization. That's Kay right now. And she's nodding, yep. The entire cast concludes the greatest day ever intro song, which you said it was Bikini Bottom.
Bikini Bottom Day, because it's an ordinary Bikini Bottom Day to everyone else, but it's extraordinary to SpongeBob.
Yeah, but they keep saying it's going to be the best day ever, so I named the song wrong. Don't they?
No, they don't sing that. Only SpongeBob thinks it'll be...
Musically challenged. Okay.
It's okay.
The cast concludes their intro song before the story begins. Spobert is at the best third-rate grease bucket in the entire ocean. Spobert's boss tells him that for a sponge, he doesn't absorb much. Time freezes, as it can only do in a musical, and Spobert sings about how he wants people to notice his potential, and how he can do so much more. The ground rumbles again and moves the plot forward further. As it turns out, the shaking ground usually means bad things, and under the sea stirs a slumbering, fiery giant of mass destruction. Mount Humongous is smoking and growling. It hungers for some well-done seafood, and Bikini Bottom is an all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. So in my notes, the volcano's sentient, so there we go. Bikini Bottom News has a special report from the mayor, who states that they are forming an investigative team to evaluate and research possible committee options for formulating a strategy to inquire on possible solutions to prevent everyone from perishing in a fiery explosion of death. The town is under a code orange, and all citizens should report back to their homes. Spobert is chipper and thinks that everything will be just fine. The government said so, but Sandy is from Texas and doesn't trust the government. She ran calculations measuring gravimetric pressure, and she theorizes that Mount Sea-Doom will erupt and kill everyone at sundown tomorrow.
So what's fun is the song that they sing during that is No Control, which is a modified version of No Control from David Bowie's Outside album. But David Bowie rearranged everything for SpongeBob.
So you're saying he just rehashed a previous song?
He rehashed
Way to
a previous-
phone it in. Way to phone it in,
I
David.
mean, Bowie was on his way out. He died in 2016.
Way to bring everyone down, Kay. The end is nigh, and everyone is gonna die. Spobert goes to visit Patrick, who is upset that he's stuck inside, and he only has the emergency "You're so fucked" message playing on every television channel. Spobert tells Patty that he doesn't need TV, cause they're besties, and they have their imagination.
I didn't know he's from Munchkin Land.
So, Stupidly Positive and Positively Stupid have their best friend song where they just run around finding lost cheese and turning a couch into a hot tub. No joke! Also, jumping on a really big bubble. Is there anything that the power of friendship can't do? Is it fireproof? Because it seems like that's what they're going to need in a moment. I guess we'll find out, because an air raid siren pierces through the friendship as Mayor tells everyone the bureaucracy will save them all. Once an investigation is launched into determining the relevant course of action for doing something later, Sandy has a plan, though, and rattles off some quick science jargon, instilling hope in the townsfolk. Meanwhile, Plankton is up to some shit, and is determining the best way to hypnotize everyone en masse. But first, Plankton tries to turn everyone against Sandy, cause science is bullcrap and can't solve problems. Plus, Sandy is a surface dweller, and has no real stake in the underwater lives of these fine seafolk. Plankton decides that since this is a musical, he needs to convince everyone through the magic of song, but not just any song, a rap battle. Plankton spits some sick beats up in Sandy's grill, saying that instead of trying to stop the volcano, they need to flee and start over somewhere new.
It's a seagull under the sea.
I will joke with people and tell them that Kay is laughing like a seagull.
Yes.
Gotta represent the state bird.
Okay.
Wasn't that a line of the movie?
That's just how I laugh, like an idiot. After Plankton spits some sick beats up in Sandy's grill, saying that instead of trying to stop the volcano, they need to flee and start over somewhere new. Luckily, Plankton has a vehicle to trap them all. Fit them all in. They can start a new life in a new city, Chumsville. Mr. Crab has an itch that Plankton is up to something, but Plankton's sick underwater fire beats are too powerful, and his siren...
Underwater fire.
And his... Is that? I'm trying to connect with the younger generation of today. Like that's how the cool kids talk, right? And his siren rap enthralls the mayor into going along with his evacuation plan. Only one issue: it will cost Neptune's trident, which costs more clams than the town can afford. They decide to host a charity concert to raise enough money to afford to flee, 'cause I guess that makes sense. No, not really, but it's fine. Continue the plot.
Yeah.
Sandy is sad because the town's xenophobia has alienated her from the community. Spobert tries to fight the will of the people, but Mr. Krabs tells him he's just a simple sponge and can't achieve what he wants. Spobert has a self-empowerment song, because after all, he's not just the sponge next door, he's not just some simple sponge, he's a contender for finding a better way to save Bikini Bottom, and this life that he's accustomed to.
So, I want to butt in real quick. The way that they did this scene was so cool. So, everything was dark, save for a light on Spongebob, and I would assume a black light because they had glow-in-the-dark sponges that they were using to create different shapes, kind of like mummenschanz.
Yeah, the sponges were green, and they were glowing in the dark really brightly, and they were like making shapes with it, or spelling out stuff with it, and then they would do when they would move them around, kind of almost looked like a school of fish or something.
Yes.
They just had a lot of really cool optical effects with that segment.
Yeah, it was way awesome.
The inner doubt of Mr. Krabs echoes in Spobert's mind, saying to him, The inner doubt of Mr. Krabs echoes in the naysaying to Spobert, who shakes off the psychic attack and decides that with Patty's strength and Sandy's brains, they'll find a way to save the day. You go, Spobert. You may be a sponge, but you're the super tough kind of sponge. The kind that gets burnt cheese off of a skillet. I believe in you. Because you're the main character of the show, and I'm contractually obligated to support you.
You know, I think it was this one that they started doing the Cats trailer at every commercial break as if it was like a specific attack on me.
Yeah.
Oh, it was crazy. Like, I swear they did have I wouldn't say every commercial break. By the way, this show had a goddamn ton of commercial breaks.
Yeah, they needed to take a cue from Steven Universe, who went, 90-minute musical, 90 minutes that you're going to watch.
It does mess with a musical when you do commercial breaks, I will say. So
it definitely does. But
if you're an executive listening, and I know you are, when you do a TV musical, do it commercial free. Just do it.
Yep.
Just do it.
Please, God.
Because we say so. We are the people, and we demand it. Spobert goes back to Mr. Krabs and tells him to shove his pessimism up his crab hole. Krabs don't care. Krabs doesn't care, because he's packing up and preparing to flee. Enter the crab daughter, Pearl the whale, who is upset, not about the impending doom of Bikini Bottom, but that her Krabby Daddy doesn't want her going to a rock concert to see the electric skates. Krabby Daddy calls them a bunch of stingray degenerates. Krabby Daddy tells daughter Whale that he knows best, and the most important thing in life is money.
It's funny, because skates are related to stingrays and sharks. They're like in between. That's the joke.
See, and I didn't know that until you had pointed it out.
Yeah.
Because I'm just taking it face value like, oh, they're rockers who are roller skating around.
It's because skates are a kind of fish.
Marine biology pun.
Yep,
Yes.
it's so full of them.
So Krabby Daddy tells Pearl daughter that the most important thing in life is money, but Pearl is young and wants to go hang out with her friends and see those degens from upstream. It's a bit of a Letterkenny joke for those of you who know that show. Krabby Daddy crushes her hopes one last time before revealing his genius marketing campaign. One last Krabby Patty before the end. Capitalism succeeds and the suckers of Bikini Bottom flood the restaurant and their last meal before hellfire takes them all. Plankton gets a single-cell boner for his computer wife, but is interrupted as a fiery boulder descends from Mount Humongous as a preview of the destruction to come. So in that, I want to clarify on that, because if you were paying attention to that scene, he starts giving like the really heavy, breathy talk to his computer wife. He's like, oh, it's been so long since I've felt this way about you. And then that's when the boulder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he was about to get a little raunchy with a computer.
I try really hard not to think about that relationship.
But that's what I'm here for, to make you think about the things you really don't want to.
It's like with Pearl's line when she's talking about, I know that we're not the same species, Dad, which is really weird when you stop to think about it.
Right?
There's a lot of that, Pearl.
Seriously. On a side note, in the town meeting on how to best not die from a volcano, Patty's idea was to close their eyes and pretend that it's not happening. Apparently, he has a cult now who thinks that he's wise. I know, right? This just in, Armageddon special report. They're all still fucked. Meanwhile, the town has become an angry mob because Sandy has lungs and uses science. This is a gill town where ignorance is power. Blame the squirrel! Blame the squirrel! Blame the squirrel! The angry mob marches off screen, and Sandy comes out of the dark to see the hateful message written on the wall. And it says, like, squirrel get out or something like that?
Land dweller go home.
Land dweller go home.
Which, that was one of those, they have not done punches like that since squirrel jokes, so...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that episode. Because they do have some political commentary where they're like, hey, discrimination isn't cool.
Yeah, and they definitely do a good job with it, huh?
Especially in this one, since the actress playing Sandy was black, and then they have the "You're not welcome here." It's like, ooh.
Yeah, I was watching that going, oof.
Yeah.
That stings.
For sure. The angry mob marches... Haha. Sandy sees the message on the wall. Sandy decides to leave, but is grabbed by Spobert, who is like, "You're smart, Patty's strong, and I'm positive. We're a team." Sandy is sad and like, "But I don't belong. I didn't belong in Texas either, because I was a girl squirrel who likes science and martial arts. I guess it's time for me to gather my nuts and find somewhere new." She makes that line, so...
Yeah. She
Spobert...
says gather my acorns, not gather my nuts.
And there's Kay here to golden rain on my parade.
Oh!
Spobert is like, "No, Sandy! You're tough and smart and awesome." Ask Donald Trump.
That? Oh, shit.
Spobert is like, "No, Sandy, you're tough and smart and awesome. We need you to save the town. Heed the call, Sandy. All for one and one for all." Sandy gets the idea to relieve the pressure of the volcano by dropping a bubble bomb into it at the exact moment it erupts. Okay, I think aside with the town... Let's see, wait. Oh, sorry. Okay, I think I side with the town now, as this is some shitty science, but they're all super bomb-ho with the plan. The Suicide Squad, now empowered with Sandy's not-so-science-y plan, head off into a commercial. So, I will make a point about that later, because they do mention in the musical, we're gonna drop the bomb in there at the exact moment that the volcano erupts.
Yeah.
Spoiler, they kind of abandon that plot thread later on.
Thank
Yes,
God,
they did.
because that would have been one of those, how? But also you wouldn't have gotten that great moment at the end, so...
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We come back from an age-specific marketing blitz to Squidward, the not-such-a-squid, as he's inserting his ego into the charity concert he was placed in charge of. Octoward's ego trip is cut short by Spobert and the gang showing up to tell him about their plan. Octard tells them that no one has survived climbing to the top of Mount Humongous and laughs at Spobert's fear. Sandy tells the gang not to worry, they'll make it to the top and save the town. Cue the crazy Patty cult, who now have a song about how Patty will save them from the volcano by pretending that nothing is happening. Patty, in charge of a cult, explains a lot about politics in 2019.
Oh.
Horrible implications aside, Patty is just happy that people are liking him and being his friends. A dormant volcano, that one. Wait,
Yes.
I think I screwed up my own note there. Ignore me! Patty puts on his makeshift pink Pope hat, because that's like...
Yeah, made out of a milk jug.
made out of
Yeah.
like this cut-off milk jug, but with the way it fit on his head, it looked like a tiny pink Pope hat. It was really odd. And fully embraces his new charge of leading the congregation of imagination. They should test their theory first by lighting one of their cult members on fire, closing their eyes, and pretending that they are not on fire. It's good to test these types of things before relying on them for cataclysm prevention. That's just the way I thought. If I could think that you could close your eyes and be like, this isn't happening, you would want to test that first before you tried to repel lava with positive vibes.
Yeah.
Spobert is the first heretic of the Church of close your eyes and pretend nothing is wrong. Patty tells Spobert to take a hike up a volcano and exits the stage with his congregation.
Mm-hmm.
Night falls upon the land, and news anchor Manfish is like, people are starting to doubt the government's ability to keep people safe. The mayor is like, fake news, everything is under control. And right on cue, more flaming boulders hurl down Mount Humongous and scatter the crowd. The scene is now sad, as people are beginning to feel hopeless. Now is the time for a positivity song, to revitalize the cast, and... Krabs is still selling burgers. Fuck that crisis capitalizer. Anyway, tomorrow's almost here, and they only have tomorrow, but tomorrow's almost here, and all they have is, you guessed it, tomorrow. But tomorrow's almost here, and all they have is tomorrow. don't really care for that song. Will the town survive? You'll find out after these commercial messages. Back from some more age-specific marketing, an old woman is handing out programs for the show. Turns out, inside this old woman lives a pirate, Patchy the Pirate, who you may know famously from the intro of the cartoon. A little addendum, in the beginning of the show, before the actual show started, we saw Patchy journeying to the premiere of the show, but when he arrived, there was a sign saying no pirates, which I think is a good policy to have since they're the rape and pillage type, who don't really mesh well with polite theater-going society.
Hey now, some pirates enjoy theater. I mean...
Pirates of Penzance, who were all about abducting women.
True.
So my point stands.
They also had an honor code.
That obviously didn't include not taking women.
Oh no, they still kidnapped women, but they were sworn to honor. They were sworn to duty, like with their...
They were slaves to duty. Anyway, I'm bringing this up about Patchy because Patchy snuck into the show. Turns out when he was turned away at the door, he was depressed and wandered the streets until he found a pirate dive bar full of other pirates shunned by society. They are pissed because pirates are people too, and they want to see the musical. The scurvy dogs infiltrate the theater and sing about this point of self-reflection, how pirates are people too, until a sassy black security lady scares them off. You know she's serious too, because she took off her earrings. Mm-hmm. You best be stepping, Patchy. She's about to break her foot off in your poop deck. After the pirates are chased off stage, we join Spobert, waking up at home. On the day of Mount Humongous's eruption, Spobert thinks that everything from the day before was just a bad dream, but Gary the Snail reminds him that it all actually happened. Spobert screams until he's an old man, yet somehow he grows a beard, but the volcano didn't erupt. Let it go, Warren. Just let it go. Move on. Anyway, as Spobert heads out, he runs afoul of some degens with weapons who tell him he's trespassing. Spobert is like, "But you know me!" They don't care, because society is breaking down, and in the wasteland, the only law is the law you make. Sandy steps in to save Spobert and shows him her volcano-stopping bomb, so cleverly named the Eruptor Interrupter. But don't let those silly plot points frazzle your brain, because it's time to rock like there's no tomorrow. It's the Electric Skates, and they're doing a fin to the rim bitching sound check. I was trying to figure out how to do balls to the wall, but fish don't have balls, and they're underwater. There's a significant lack of walls. So fins to the rim seem to fit. The rockers notice Pearl, who they think has a rockin' voice, and they invite her to be a backup singer. Pearl nearly dies of excitement and disbelief, and the group rocks out with their fins out. Whatever, fish don't have dicks. No joke there. Sorry, folks. Octoward tells the band that their demands are too expensive and that they can't provide everything for the concert. The Electric Skates make a deal with him. If he can get all the stuff that they want for their show, they'll let Octoward open for them. Octoward sees this as his big chance before the end of the world and agrees.
Now you're seeing why they went with Squidward, huh?
You mean Octoward? Octoward tentacle dick? Hey, octopuses have a tentacle dick. That is perfectly legitimate science. It's not vulgar at all.
Why would you say something so controversial and yet so right?
Okay.
I broke him.
So that's what it feels like. We cut to Sandy and Spobert on their clandestine mission to save Bikini Bottom, but they have so much equipment, and without their pack mule, Patty, they're struggling to carry it all. Sandy sings an inspirational song to Spobert, encouraging him to kick bad feelings away and chop his way to the top. 'Cause karate is sort of their thing. They always do when they're together. Mm-hmm. So, for those listening who have never seen the show, remember, listeners, when you're in doubt, chop and kick your way to the top. Kay, quick question. If you're in court for an assault charge, is the defense, a squirrel told me to chop and kick my way to the top? Would that be an acceptable defense, or is this more of a question for our friend Alex at Palm and Pitch?
This is a question for Alex at Palm and Pitch, so I think...
I'll have to ask her.
Yeah. I'm not a lawyer.
The only thing I can think of is if you say that in court, you might be able to get off on an insanity plea, but you'd have to really sell it. Anyways... But, Your Honor, they were underwater trying to stop a volcano by throwing a bomb into it. Insane. Get this man a big white jacket. Anyways, Sandy and Spobert chop their way to the top of Mount Humongous and proceed to celebrate. We did it! We did it! Yay! But Sandy gives Spobert a reality check that they're only halfway to the top.
So this was done really
it was amazing.
cool.
So let me finish my note and then we'll talk about that. She gives them a reality check that they're only halfway to the top. Come on, guys, don't look so disappointed. Remember, you can just chop your way to the top. Now get chopping. So, yeah, so go if you want to talk about that.
So, the way that a lot of the set is set up, you have a lot of materials that stand in for other things, like the kelp was pool noodles and stuff like that. The volcano is a set of boxes.
Yeah.
And they're on luggage carts and ladders and... Oh, what's the other... There's a type of ladder on wheels that it's too late for me to remember what it's called, but...
No, what was that motion you were making as you were talking about the ladder?
God damn it.
There's some long strokes to that ladder. How do you climb that ladder, Kay?
God damn it.
But I don't know what that wheelie ladder is called either.
But they were using that, and the boxes would shift, and the ladders were shifting, the luggage carts were shifting, so that it kind of looked like... And at the same time, in the back, they had the lights looking like the boxes as well, going up the volcano. So they would come down as the set pieces were moving around. So it looked like they were actually going up this volcano of boxes.
It was a really cool visual trick. One of the things I would say, too, is the way that they were doing the... luggage cart boxes, it was almost like, because they had stagehands, that were in black so that you couldn't see them as well, and they were on both sides of the luggage carts, and as Sandy and SpongeBob were climbing and moving through these big sets, they were also spinning them around, and so it created this really interesting 3D effect because it was layered. You had them actually climbing on the set as the set was moving around, and then you had the light show in the back that made it look like they were getting higher and higher on this box mountain.
The superheroes of this show were the stagehands, the lighting crew, and the set designers. Holy crap.
I will also say the sound effect guy.
Sound effect guy was a hero.
Was awesome because since SpongeBob in the show was always so squeaky, like when he would do stuff, the guy would be right on point with making the squeaky noises, making the stretch noises, and like never missed a beat. Like I'm sure they rehearsed that kind of thing to death.
Yes.
But at one point they showed it. The camera was looking at him, and you saw him looking at the actors and just pushing buttons, as he was needed. And it was
so cool.
The entire cast and supporting cast did such a good job of...
The conductor. I've never
conductor
seen
was
a
funny.
Conductor
was great.
so involved.
Yes.
That was funny.
The conductor was taking the props off.
Yeah.
And conducting with the props.
Yeah.
And there'd be times that they'd like drop something into the conductor's pit, and then they'd make noises like it was hitting the musicians down there. Yeah. Yeah. So there was a lot of fourth wall breaking comedy that was just really well done in the whole show.
Yeah.
So I definitely commend them for that, because more than trying to be like, yes, we are in this world, it was more like the characters themselves were telling a story on stage, and so they did a really good job of pointing out the fact that, like, yeah, we are in this doing a performance piece.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We now cut to the den of the Pink Idiot and his merry band of Imagine Idiots. Patty is like, let's go get my magic stretchy couch from under my rock. But the cult doesn't listen to their leader because there's no time. Patty suggests that they go jellyfishing instead. But again, they say no. Why go jellyfishing when you have a cult of followers who don't listen to your ideas? Patty then realizes that he misses Spobert, and the two of them have a metaphysical duet. Spobert while climbing the mountain, and Patty while on his cult throne. The two sing about missing each other. Patty concludes his song by realizing that maybe he can save his cult, but not in the way that they wanted, and Patty bounces off the stage to go join Sandy and Spobert on the mountain, most likely. Spoiler, yes he does. Octaward, the errand boy, comes back to the electric skates with their list of requirements, except for the seahorse radish, cause it's out of season. Little did Octaward know, but one of the band members is a radish head and freaks out. He's going through withdrawals. He needs his fix, man. Come on, Squidward. I'll suck your tentacle.
I'll suck your hectocotylus.
God, I love you. The rad-headed band member calls Octaward a loser, which sends him into a hallucination of inner self-loathing reassurance. Octaward has a psychotic break from reality and dances with an imaginary chorus line, who sings about how he's totally not a loser, and he's totally not in denial, and he's totally not calling true things false. The self-denial song and the dance extravaganza conclude with a fancy tap number. After all, would a loser have an entire imaginary chorus line to sing about how great he is? Octaward crashes back into reality, and the scene fades to black. And more targeted ads. I think I want a pink pony now. Curse you marketing people! So that scene actually was probably one of my favorite scenes.
Mine too.
One of the things that they do with Squidward's costume in this is he has 4 legs. Like, they have these puppet legs hooked up to his back side, and they're hooked to his feet, so they move when he moves his legs. And initially it's just kind of a cool gimmick to see when he's running around on stage.
Mm-hmm.
But when he has his actual dance numbers,
Mm-hmm.
he does some pretty cool shit with those puppet legs.
Yes.
Like, it was impressive. And I don't know if they put tap shoes on those things.
They put taps on those.
Because I wasn't sure if it was just a sound effect thing or if he was actually tapping plus tapping with his back legs.
Watching, it looks like he was tapping with all 4 legs.
That was crazy to watch, because...
Oh, it was so cool.
Oh, man, that was just hilarious, though. But that was one of the times when I noticed that his whole chorus line of, like, pink, feathery outfit-wearing people, like, it was men, it was women,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, the costumes were very much more feminine.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great that they had guys in there, too.
Yeah, it was, this show, man.
It was entertaining. Like, it was so surreal. It was just... It was
Oh,
one of
it
those.
was so great.
It's one of those shows that you really have to just kind of accept what is presented
Yes.
and just go along for the
Yes.
ride.
For a licensed musical, it's not that bad.
No, it was surprisingly good. Like I said, I'm annoyed with how much
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it and how well I thought it was done.
Yeah, our first licensed musical was the Spider-Man one.
Oh, fuck that thing.
And I think that kind of made us a little leery of licensed musicals. But Death Note was good.
Death Note was good.
So-
That was surprisingly good. It was also Japanese, and I think they took it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
But back to the show, and an important news break. With 1 hour left on the Doomsday Clock, we see the town beginning their trek to the charity concert while they wait for Plankton's escape pod. The townsfolk inquire where the band is, but are informed by Octaward that the band has left due to creative differences. Pearl is heartbroken that the band left without her, since she was the new backup singer. Krabby Daddy yells at Pearl for planning to leave, and tells her that she's grounded if they survive their impending certain death. The ground rumbles, and another volcanic boulder tumbles through the town, flattening an innocent townsfish. The citizens become an angry mob.
And that was done so well.
That was.
Just this flat cardboard cutout they pick.
Old Man Jenkins!
Okay, the citizens become an angry mob and devolve into blaming each other. It's the government's fault. It's the media's fault. It's your fault. It's my fault. Meanwhile, Sandy and Spobert are on Mount Humongous, facing certain death. But who saves the day? Who? Who, I ask? It's Patty with Sandy's jetpack. Again, jetpack, underwater, uncertain to how this is applicable, but never mind. Patty and Spobert make up and do a friend dance. The trio are now ready to face certain death together. Spobert starts to quake in his square pants at the sight of the volcano's molten maw. Spobert gets a pep talk from Patty and Sandy, who tell him, "That's what you bring to the team, management, your management potential." Spobert, instead of delegating the actual explosive throwing work to someone capable and self-sufficient like Sandy, takes the interrupter himself and scales the last part of the volcano, but has a hang-up on if he should throw the bomb on the count of 3 or after the count of 3. After it's decided that he should throw it after 3, Spobert throws the bomb into the volcano, but it didn't erupt. Didn't they say they had to throw the bomb in right as the volcano erupted? Now they're saying they have to wait till sundown when the volcano erupts to see if the bomb works? Kay is just shrugging because you just have to accept it.
But the reason why SpongeBob had to do that was because he's the only one who could fit through all of those ladders and stuff in order to get through. That's what they say.
Is that what they said? Okay.
Yes.
Because I was just thinking to myself, Sandy's a fucking squirrel. She can't... You mean to tell me she can't ninja her way up that thing?
She's got her helmet, so
Yeah.
she can't
Which
go through
was her
that.
afro.
You know,
Yes.
they did a really good job with that.
so cool!
Yes.
That she had a big puffy afro, and that was her helmet. Like,
Yes.
that was such a good touch.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
I love Sandy.
And I ruined my own note when I was complaining about the bomb not interrupting when they throw in. Okay, it's a SpongeBob musical, Warren. Don't burn out any of your remaining brain cells trying to decipher this magnum opus. Anyways, on top of Mount Humongous, they see the scene below. Bikini Bottom destroying itself from within through fear and mistrust.
Was that the conductor?
That was the conductor.
Yes.
Oh my
with
God.
the-
Yes.
Yes. So as they're doing that, like Mama Kay had said, they zoom in on the conductor, and he's got like this...
She.
Sorry. They zoom in on the... I couldn't tell, honestly, because I wasn't... Yeah,
He
sorry.
doesn't see gender.
I do see race, though. So, the conductor had this mat that was like a bad recreation of Bikini Bottom with all the buildings and had like little puppets that were the different characters, and they're just fighting and crashing into each other. So that was pretty funny. But
I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Patty, Sandy, and Spobert use the jetpack's parachute to glide down to the mountain. Fucking hell. And into the heart of the mob in order to give a heartfelt speech about not fighting each other and being a community and friends. Bad is bad and good is good, and let's be good and not bad, because being bad makes people sad and mad, which is not good. Cue a song! Spobert uses his managerial skills to de-escalate the mob, making them calm the fuck down and prepare for their fiery end. After all, the end of the world is gonna be the best day ever. That's the song. Best day ever. Is that how it works, Kay? Armageddon equals the best day ever?
So, what I like about the use of the song there, that is one of 2 songs from the show that are actually in SpongeBob the TV show.
Oh.
And Best Day Ever was one of their first specials, I want to say, where SpongeBob plans today's going to be the best day ever. And he's excited to go out and jellyfish with his friends and do this watch Squidward do a clarinet solo and help Sandy out, but everything's just going wrong. And his best day ever is basically ruined, especially when he gets to Squidward's clarinet recital and he can't get in. And then they end it by basically thanking SpongeBob for helping them have the best day ever, which gave him a best day ever. So that's the setup for what the song is originally. And in this, they place it in the Toy Story 3 moment of, we're all gonna die, but hey, we're all together and it's the best day ever, because we're all together.
That's when they all hold hands. And
Yes, and have their Toy Story 3 into the incinerator moment.
And this informational interlude was brought to you by Kay.
And my goddamn deep dive. This is what I do for you people.
You better appreciate it. I know I do. Anyways, 1 minute till certain death, and the townsfolk take each other's hands in a genuine moment of, oh god, it's going to erupt, and bubbles! Bubbles for everyone! Bubbles descend onto the town, and everyone is rejoicing about not being dead. The mayor apologizes for her many abuses of power and bad ideas. Plankton mocks the mayor and accidentally reveals his escape pod plan was actually an evil plan. Mr. Krabs' suspicion itch was right, and he dolphin curses at Plankton, who dolphin curses back, and the two go at it. The mayor steps in and stops them, saying they need to work together to rebuild the town, since they destroyed it, freaking out about their imminent doom. Mr. Krabs apologizes to Spobert, saying that he was wrong, and that Spobert is indeed manager experience, but not manager material, but not Ray's material.
Nope.
'Cause Mr. Krabs. The town decides that they should celebrate by throwing the concert themselves. The town patches up with Sandy, saying they're sorry and that they want her to stay. Sandy tells them to get her a guitar so she can rock this fishbowl. Spobert celebrates not dying by busting out a ukulele and doing a reprise of the opening song, with some subtle recapping of events that happened. Stuff like not dying in a fiery explosion, cause that is definitely a requirement for having a great day. Bikini Bottom is saved. Spobert earned the appreciation of his boss, and Sandy earned the appreciation of the town, cause she fucking saved it. And Plankton's evil plan was foiled and revealed. All in all, it's been a pretty good day in Bikini Bottom. The end.
What I love with that last bit is when Sandy's like, I'm still gonna leave because I don't feel welcome here, and the community comes together and going like, no, you are welcome. Everyone's welcome in Bikini Bottom.
Because they apologize, and then she's like, I still am gonna go because I don't feel like I can trust you guys anymore. And that's when the one old man who initially was like, you're not welcome here, came in, and I love that he comes in and he's like, he's Road Warrior. He's got like a bandana tied around his head, hanging off to the side. His tie, yeah. And just talk about how they're ashamed, and Bikini Bottom welcomes everyone and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, you guys should be grateful. She saved your scaly asses. Like,
yeah, that was one of those moments that really spoke to me there, because I was like, ooh, I've been there. Yeah, Sandy. Same. And,
yeah.
Oh, I loved that ending. And then of course Patchy the pirate is able to drop from the ceiling, and
I think I missed that part.
yeah, he joins the rest of the Bikini Bottomites to close out the number.
Bottomite sounds like a real...
That's what they're called on the Spongebob wiki.
Is it really?
Yes. Bikini Bottomites.
It sounds too close to, like, never mind. I think I would call them bottom dwellers, but that's just me.
Bikini Bottom Dwellers probably makes more sense, but I'm just saying what I saw on the wiki.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And to be fair, Bikini Bottomites is not any weirder than anything else in the show.
Yeah.
And is definitely less weirder than most of what's in the show.
Yes, this is true. So, yeah, I liked this.
I
liked it a lot.
It was pretty dang good. Like, I really was. Like, I know that I had very low expectations, even though I knew that it would probably be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that Nickelodeon kind of screwed it up, in my opinion, a little bit by having a commercial break every 10 freaking minutes.
Yeah, that was not necessary.
Like, if you're going to do commercial breaks, like, I would say wait till, like, the intermission period and then do some breaks. But, no. But they had to play the same terrible Cats commercial over and over again.
I think Andrew Lloyd Webber put them up to this because I think he knew that we would be watching this today, and he knows about our feud. And so he was like, hey, play this. And play the Taylor Swift one the whole time.
Andrew Lloyd Webber is sitting in a dark room somewhere with a fire in the corner, holding a glass of brandy, staring into it, going, yes, yes, suffer, Kay and Warren, suffer. Somewhere in Andrew Lloyd Webber's attic, there's 2 paintings of us that are getting happier.
Jesus. So So, did you have any other thoughts, Mom? On
Just that it is a musical that I would like to see live.
Yeah, I would actually see it live too. It had a fair amount of, I don't want to say audience participation, but it definitely felt more audience inclusive. I don't know, maybe I'm not phrasing it right, but yeah, it was definitely a good one.
Yeah. It's I wish that it was coming here, because the closest it's going to be, I want to say, maybe
Vegas?
it'll be in Denver, but I think it's Vegas, yeah.
Well, Vegas is closer than Denver anyway for us, isn't
It
it?
is,
Yeah.
except that we've got that great suite that we can take the bird and the dog
Yeah,
in Denver.
yeah, have
Touche.
Sophie and Latte go on
Yeah.
a trip. Whereas,
Which, speaking of which, I am very surprised that our listeners didn't get to hear any input from Sophie.
I know,
Well,
she-
Sophie goes to bed at 5:30.
Oh,
That's
but when we
true.
were
Yeah.
recording the intro earlier.
Yes.
yeah, no, she wanted to hear. She was like, I need to know about
Yeah.
this show, because Pierre Delaney had said some stuff before he went
Yeah.
that,
She's like, SpongeBob the musical, do go on.
yeah.
I'm curious. Tell me more
I
about
think-
this pineapple, this sponge who lives in a pineapple under
In
the
fact,
sea.
she got quite noisy when we started to watch it.
Yeah,
But the recording had stopped.
when the recording had stopped, we were
Yeah,
getting ready, and then
suddenly
she was
it was
like,
a-
"Yeah, let's do this shit."
Yeah, I think that she had heard good things about SpongeBob from Keir, and was like, well, what did that old man really... I do think he would have liked the musical, Keir the Bird.
Or he would have hated it because he'd be like, "You're not SpongeBob. You're a liar.
That's true.
You live in a
You're not
pineapple
the
full
real
of lies."
SpongeBob.
Yeah, exactly.
He probably would have reacted like Buddy the Elf, so...
You're just
Yeah.
a shitty human.
You're a person in a sponge suit.
I tell
Wasn't
you
even
what,
that,
I feel sorry for anyone who tries to take the role of SpongeBob.
Yes.
This was made for this.
That
man.
guy did
Yeah,
such
Ethan
a good job.
Slater, man, he was great.
Would I have seen him in anything that we
No.
watched? Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, he very skilled. Like I was especially impressed with. Let's see, he was remarkable. Squidward did a really, really good job too. That actor, as well as Sandy. Patrick's actor was really good too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like definitely those four, because they had the biggest parts throughout the
Yeah.
entirety of the show. But I would say that the casting in general was really good. Mr. Krabs' character did a really good job
Yes.
too, and I like that. You know, to make his crab hands, he just had big ass boxing gloves,
Yes.
and those were his crab hands.
That was so awesome.
I like that. Like he had like a beard and goatee and stuff, and they dyed that red as well as his hair.
Mm-hmm.
But they left his mustache, which I
Yes.
thought was an
And
interesting
there were
choice.
so many gingers in this, dyed gingers.
Yeah.
Dyed gingers. That's
Yeah.
an accurate way of putting it.
I loved Pearl too. Just she was great. Just the loud, bombastic Dad.
She could sing too.
She
Yes.
was so good.
She had friggin' cannon of a vocal range.
Oh my
She was a whale.
gosh. Something that makes sense. That makes a lot of
Yes.
sense. Actually.
This probably looks
If
really
you could
loud.
See
I even
what
turned
the
it.
recording looks like.
I even turned my head.
Latte thinks that you're dying.
Yeah.
He's like, "Cut the shit, Dad, or I'll kill you myself."
Oh man.
Oh, but yeah, overall, I was super duper impressed
Mhm.
with how much I didn't hate the show.
I would actually probably get this one on DVD to watch it without commercial breaks if
Yeah.
they released that.
I would agree with that. I don't know if they will, because
They probably, I'm sure they'll be,
that would be a
able to be
smart
downloaded or
thing to
something.
do.
that would be the smart thing to do.
What I like too, though, is that this is a great way to introduce theater to kids that are watching Nickelodeon.
yes.
Because this might be the first live play that they've ever seen.
Yeah,
It's
very
kind of
true.
like why I like when NBC does their NBC Live or Fox does the Fox Live. because it's more accessibility for these shows that are on Broadway, and they need to do this more often.
It's
Yes.
the thing that you and I have been
We've
screaming
been bitching about it for...
We've been screaming into the void ever since episode 1 of put more of this on the internet so that we can watch it, because we can't get to New York to buy tickets, you fuckers.
Yeah, because a lot of these shows, you'll never see them because they either won't go on tour or they won't get licensed to Musical Theater International or Tams Whitmark or any of those for regional shows. Like Spider-Man, we had to watch a bootleg because that one's non-existent. No one puts it on.
And understandably why.
Understandably why, yeah.
I mean, in all the broken ankles and shattered dreams. So.
And like Flower Drum Song, the 2002 revival, we had to watch a copy of a theater in San Jose because no one filmed the revival of it, even though it was better than...
It was really good.
Yeah, and so they need to do more of this.
I mean, they really do, because it just...
Even the bad musicals, they need to do this.
I mean, there's a ton of bad movies out there, and they still
Yeah.
put them, out on accessibility for people. It's like, do the same with musicals, because even if it's on, the services that most people have that are paying monthly things, like, it's helping to spread it. It's helping to make people, more interested in theater and in the arts. Like,
Yeah.
look at me. I'm the uncultured swine, and I'm like, give it to me. I want to watch it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you're not originally a musicals guy.
no, not at all. Like,
But
not at all. But
when you have accessibility, it's like, well, I do want to see it.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, we should probably wrap this up.
We probably should.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
inviting me to this one.
Oh,
Thank you
of
for
course,
joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us up here and having your granddog up here. So, next week, we are going to watch a Hanukkah musical. And we were going to do it for Hanukkah, but again, Cats is coming out and we are contractually obligated. We started the year with Cats, we have to end it with Cats.
Beautiful symmetry.
Yes, I am a symmetry person. So, we will be watching the Meshuggah Nutcracker. I'm so excited.
I love that title.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Love that title.
It's available with my Broadway HD. I'm so excited.
My sugar nutcracker.
I'm not a fan of the Nutcracker, but
me
this
either.
is going to be interesting because
Then for me, we'll talk about it in the next episode. The Nutcracker, I probably have seen too much as a kid growing up, which is why I don't like it.
I still have nightmares about the Rat King. So
I think Nutcracker is a little done to death. So anything that puts a decent spin on it, I think, is welcome.
and I think that this will be more about Hanukkah than it will be the Nutcracker. But still, it's going to be fun. I'm
Cool.
excited.
I'm excited too.
Yeah. So, thank you guys for listening to us and for our first guest episode.
I want to thank Mama Kay for joining us
thank you,
today.
Mama Kay. Thank you, Sophie, for not being angry the whole time. We love and appreciate you guys. You guys are so awesome. If you want to get in contact with us, you can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. All three of those are Tone Deaf Musical.
If you want to go to our website, tonedeafmusical.com, we have links to all of our social media links, as well as the Cast Junkie Discord server that we have a channel on. So come over, stop by, say hi, and we can talk about stuff.
You can also find links to our Patreon, which is Tone Deaf Musical, as well as our merch store, which has the Poppin' Pussies and Pies t-shirt.
Kay is sporting one right now.
Yep.
Looks good on her, and it would look good on you too.
This is the only time of the week that I can wear it because this would not be workplace appropriate. Not in Utah.
I don't know.
Outside.
If you wear your hoodie and you have it mostly zipped up, and people,
If
people
they
just see
saw Puss and Pie.
people just see
Yeah.
the Barker and Lovett Bakery. They wouldn't see Poppin' Pussies and Pies at the bottom.
Yes.
That's true. So there's some fashion advice for how to wear it.
I am a bit of a fashionista,
He is.
as you can tell by my jeans and black t-shirt.
It's comfortable, and that's a type of fashion. So, that'll be it for this week. I'm Kay,
I'm Warren.
I'm Mama Kay.
and this has been
Tone Deaf.